Have you ever wondered why it's important to never outshine the master? It's a provocative question, isn't it? And it's all about power, that intangible force that shapes our lives, our decisions, our very society. Now imagine there are laws to this power, rules to play by. Intrigued yet? Good, because today we're going to explore the first law of power: never outshine the master. Stick around as we delve into this fascinating topic and understand why it holds such importance. What is this first law of power we're talking about? Well, it's quite simple but profoundly impactful. The first law of power, in essence, advises us to never outshine the master. But what does this truly mean? It's about understanding the dynamics of power and position. It's about knowing your place and acting accordingly. It's about recognizing that those above you, in rank, in any hierarchy, are there for a reason and must not feel threatened by your brilliance. This law doesn't suggest that you should suppress your talents or abilities. Instead, it recommends using them judiciously, subtly, without overshadowing those who hold power over you. It's about tact, diplomacy, and the art of making your superiors feel superior. Misunderstanding or ignoring this law can lead to repercussions, often resulting in a loss of favor or even a downfall. So let's see how this law has played out in history. Let's travel back to 17th century France, to the court of King Louis XIV. In this opulent world of power and prestige, we find a remarkable story that perfectly illustrates the first law of power. Our protagonist, or perhaps more fittingly, our cautionary figure, is Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister of France. Fouquet, a man of considerable wealth and influence, decided to throw a party. But this was not just any party. It was an event designed to showcase his affluence and power. It was a spectacle that would outshine even the grandeur of the king himself. Imagine, if you will, a celebration so extravagant that it made the royal court look modest by comparison. The finest wines, a feast to rival all feasts, entertainment that captivated the most jaded of nobles, and a fireworks display that turned night into day. This was Fouquet's party, and it was magnificent. But in his desire to impress, Fouquet overlooked the first law of power: never outshine the master. King Louis XIV was not amused. To the king, this lavish display was not just a party. It was a direct challenge to his authority, a blatant display of power that threatened to eclipse his own. And so instead of being impressed, Louis felt threatened. In the aftermath of the party, King Louis XIV took swift action. Nicolas Fouquet was arrested. Accused of embezzlement, he was tried and found guilty. His punishment was severe: life imprisonment. His wealth, his position, his power, all were stripped away. In seeking to outshine his master, Fouquet had sealed his own fate. His downfall was as swift as it was tragic. His story serves as a stark reminder of the peril that comes with forgetting the first law of power. The master, especially one as powerful as a king, must never be outshone. Fouquet's downfall serves as a timeless lesson on the dangers of outshining those in power. Fast forward a few centuries to the era of Joseph Stalin. A key figure in the early days of the Soviet Union, Stalin was a master of political maneuvering. He was not the most charismatic, nor the most ideologically driven, but he was incredibly cunning. One of his contemporaries was Nikolai Bukharin, a popular party member known for his intellectual prowess and charm. Bukharin was one of the youngest members of the Bolshevik Party and had played a significant role in the Russian Revolution. He was a brilliant orator and writer, and his ideas resonated with many within the party. His popularity was on the rise, and he was seen as a potential successor to Lenin. However, Bukharin's intellectual shine was too bright for Stalin's liking. Stalin, ever the tactician, began to perceive Bukharin's growing influence as a threat to his own position. He didn't want to be outshone by the young, charismatic Bukharin. Stalin started to marginalize Bukharin, gradually alienating him from the party's inner circle. He twisted Bukharin's ideas, painting them as counter-revolutionary and thus dangerous to the Soviet Union's future. Stalin's tactics were subtle, yet ruthless. Over time, Bukharine's influence began to wane. The final blow came during the Great Purge, a brutal political campaign led by Stalin to remove dissenters within the party. Bukharin, once a star in the Bolshevik party, was arrested, tried and executed, his name erased from Soviet history. The story of Bukharin is a classic example of the first law of power in action. He was a brilliant and popular figure, but he outshone his master, Stalin, and paid the ultimate price. Stalin, the master, felt threatened and used his power to ensure that he remained the brightest star in the Soviet Union's political firmament. Bukharin's fate is a stark reminder of the perils of outshining the master. You might think these are old tales. Does the first law of power still apply today? Well, let's take a journey into the modern world. The boardrooms of corporations, the hallways of political power, and the social circles of influence are where we'll find our answer. Consider the corporate world. You're in a meeting presenting an innovative idea. You've done your research, you're confident, and you outshine everyone, including your boss. Sounds like a triumph, right? Wrong. Your boss, feeling threatened, might start viewing you as competition rather than an asset. You've inadvertently broken the first law of power: never outshine the master. It's not about dimming your brilliance, but rather learning to shine it strategically. Now, let's shift gears to the political landscape. Remember when a charismatic young politician outshines a seasoned veteran with their energy and fresh ideas? It might seem like a victory for the newcomer, but this could provoke the veteran's insecurity. The result? The newcomer is sidelined, their influence curtailed. Here, we see the first law of power at play again. Socially, the law remains as potent. Picture a gathering where a friend outshines the host with their charm and charisma. They become the life of the party, but they've also unsettled the host. The host may feel overshadowed, and this could strain their relationship. Once again, the first law of power echoes its timeless wisdom. In all these scenarios, it's not about suppressing your talents or achievements. It's about understanding the dynamics of power and navigating them wisely. It's about recognizing the egos of those in power and playing your cards right. It's about strategically directing your light so it illuminates without causing discomfort to those who matter. So, as we see, this law is as relevant today as it was centuries ago. It's not just a relic from the past, it's a guide for the present, a blueprint for understanding the subtle undercurrents of power that ebb and flow in our modern world. As we've seen through these historical and modern examples, the first law of power is of paramount importance. This ancient principle, woven into the fabric of our society and human interaction, has been proven time and time again. It's found in the grand courts of King Louis XIV, where Nicolas Fouquet's dazzling display of wealth and power led to his downfall, and in the chilling corridors of Stalin's reign, where Nikolai Bukharin's political prowess outshone Stalin, earning him a one-way ticket to oblivion. These are not isolated incidents, but rather illustrative examples of a power dynamic that continues to play out in our world today. In offices, in politics, in social circles, and even within families, the first law of power is in effect. It's not a matter of if, but when and how it manifests. Yet this law is not about diminishing yourself or downplaying your abilities, far from it. It's about recognizing the dynamics of power and navigating them with finesse. It's about understanding that every interaction has a power dynamic at play and learning how to use that understanding to your advantage. Remember the tale of Icarus, who flew too high too soon and fell from the sky. His downfall was not due to his ability to fly, but his failure to understand the limitations of his power. Just like Icarus, those who ignore the first law of power and attempt to outshine their masters often meet a similar fate. In essence, the first law of power teaches us to be aware of our place in the power structure, to respect those who have more power, and to avoid making the mistake of overshooting our mark. It reminds us that power is a delicate balance and that every action has a reaction. But let's not forget that each one of us is unique, and we all have our own light to shine. This law doesn't discourage us from shining, but simply advises us to shine responsibly and with a keen sense of awareness. Remember, It's not about being subservient, but about understanding power dynamics. Never outshine the master, but shine in your own unique way.